It's daybreak here on the Rise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. This day newspaper, its leading headline this morning from Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate, if elected, will eliminate corruption, says his government will support establish of construction bank. That leading photo there, everyone's talking about, with the caption, "Governor, you're welcome back." Mr. President welcoming the governor of the central bank, Godwin Emefiele, from his annual leave. More headlines at Ibadan rally. Atiku declares restructuring will be one of the pillars of my government. Explosion rocks APC campaign in Rivers. Above the nameplate of this day this morning, Buhari pours cold water on Emefiele's predecessors. Welcome CBN Governor back from leave. Says no nation can develop without peace.
In the Punch newspaper, rising petrol price hits 300 Naira per litre. Atiku under fire for no votes, no contracts remarks. And federal government revokes 3,402 mining titles. 2023, the UK, the EU and Australia issue security alerts for Nigeria. And slain NSCDC officers' families get automatic employment.
All right, let's take a look at The Guardian Nigeria this morning. Again, petrol price adjusted to 185 Naira per litre to appease marketers. Secret approvals of pump price, a departure from PIA objectives. And you see just there, that's the picture again of Mr. President welcoming Godwin Emefiele back from his annual leave. Just a Paradise Lost staging comeback on wings of golfing. Meanwhile, CBN intensifies sensitization as Nigerians ask Nigerians to reject old banknotes from banks.
This is the Tribune. Ibadan rally for Atiku may be way forward for G5. And 3 injured as explosion rocks APC rally in Port Harcourt. Well, police has opened an investigation. They're saying it's not really an explosion, but we'll get to hear more soon. Naira note, CBN insists on January 31st deadline. That's a picture of the president and the governor of the central bank. I met with him earlier on Thursday. The court remands Sharia judges, 12 others for alleged 500 million Naira theft.
The leadership this morning, 2023 presidency. Northern elders in dilemma over choice of candidate. The leadership.
Well, let's take a look at the international papers. Financial Times, central banks vow to stay the course on high rates until inflation is tamed. And no regrets, New Zealand's leader, Jacinda Ardern, resigns.
The Guardian UK this morning, Tory areas allocated more cash from levelling up fund. Baldwin, that's Alec Baldwin, charged over death on a film set. He will be charged with involuntary manslaughter. I no longer have enough in the tank. That's coming from Jacinda Ardern as she quits as New Zealand's Prime Minister.
It's the I-paper. The European Union wants Starmer to become the British Prime Minister. Will it happen?
And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for always being here. Yeah. Before we dive into all the political stories, I want us to talk about that leading photo on the front of this day newspaper. Mr. President welcoming the governor of Central Bank back from his annual leave. Kenneth, don't you wish you had this sort of welcome back after your annual leave? Seems like a celebration. And the headline just at the top there.
Did we even need it?
The headline just at the top there says, President Buhari pours cold water on Emefiele's predecessors and welcomes the CBN governor back from his leave. So basically just sort of dousing that controversy, saying there's tension between the governor and the presidency. Emmanuel, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think for Emefiele, it's going to be the best evening so far, Thursday evening, and it's going to have one of the finest Fridays Thank God it's Friday. Nkechi, you look ready already for the Friday. Kenneth, thank God it's Friday.
Indeed.
Yeah, so Emefiele is going to have a good Friday today. I mean, these pictures and the stories, this day captured it very well by saying pour water cold on his, traducers who are saying that, well, he's in trouble. These pictures and the stories are showing that Emefiele is, at par with his boss. And no better, thing can happen to a staff when your boss is with you and or on the same page with you. You feel on top of the world. But remember that we've done stories again and again about how, Emefiele was, those court orders, those DSS attempts at arrest, and, the very wild allegations about his involvement in terrorism financing, which is strange because Emefiele has been in the forefront of actually advocating for fewer monies making circulation. And one of the reasons for that, apart from, of course, what those monies were doing for politicians, was actually to stop, criminals from having access to funding. He's been in the forefront of trying to deal with the cartels of, the black markets, so cartels that are actually encouraging terror financing. He's always talking about that. At one point, even saying that they are prepared to name and shame. So to really spin that story around, for many Nigerians, it was strange that you now associated him with, funding terror. But the DSS keeps saying that, look, we work professionally. Maybe we've not had the end of that yet. But now the president is backing strongly his man. He's practically saying, I sent him on these errands. I'm the one that, approved the redesign of Naira and all of that. So this is a vote of confidence that Emefiele would need. And of course, his base will be happy with this. Shows that their man is still with the president. And that if you have, that presidential cover, that immunity, that cover from the president, you are close to being untouchable. He also appealed his appearance on Wednesday in the court over those Paris Club matters. So he's on top of his game, and in case you were asking Kenneth earlier if he would have be happy to get that kind of warm welcome from his boss if he was back from a leave. This is not an ordinary leave. This is a leave that was fraught with all sorts of insinuations. At one point, people even saying that he probably won't come back again. So this is a strong push for him, and it's good for his base, good for the optics around his people, good for him to. He's always insisted that he wants to be professional, he wants to stay on his job and do the right thing, using CBN as a tool to improve the economy, whether it's in agriculture or in these monetary policies that we're currently dealing with. So this is the kind of encouragement he needs for that, and not the story swirling around him.
And it's a good time for him to come back as well. Apart from all this that you've just spoken about, we also still have those issues with banks giving customers old Naira notes. We had a report from one of our business reporters, Onyi Sunday, going to different banks and customers complaining that banks are still giving them old Naira notes. And you also there's a headline on The Punch or The Guardian where the CBN has now said, look, if the banks give you old Naira notes, you have to reject it, Emmanuel.
Well, yeah, that they could say that, but I mean, consumers are helpless, where customers are totally helpless. The ATM gives you those old monies, and rejecting them, I don't think is the way to go, because what will you do if you reject them? You still need to pick your bills. You still need to pay for whatever you're paying for, and so you're right. It's coming. The Emefiele is back at the right time, and he should be able to answer some of these questions. And part of the problems that people were talking about, this redesigning of monies and this monetary policy, that there wasn't enough time for Nigerians to buy in. The banks are right now caught in the ticket. They don't seem to be ready. If you talk to bankers, I spoke to some bank managers, and they are, hands in the air, saying that they are also at a loss. They don't have these monies to give customers, and the days at the time is the days are. I mean, the deadline is coming really close, and most people really confused on how to get around their daily lives.
It does mean that someone's not telling the truth. The CBN keeps saying, go pick up these monies, and some bank managers are saying, we don't have it. Away from that, Emmanuel, the Punch newspaper, petrol price, it's hitting as much as 300. I mean, some places people buy as much as 400 or even 500. I mean, last week we had a report where people bought 600 Naira in River State. The scarcity, Emmanuel, what's it about, really?
That's actually the big question, Kenneth. The question is that there doesn't seem to be any kind of logical explanations around it. You just are dealing with it. The story from in the Guardian was that the federal government secretly, Kenneth, introduced some kind of increase last night, and forced it down the throat of everyone without, and that's the transparency and the leadership that the PIA, the bill that is supposed to, show more transparency around the oil sector, was abridged by that, because you don't have this secret. It's in the military era that you wake up in the morning and then you have those increments. But the president is said to have unilaterally, increased the prices again, the official rate. And the funny thing is that it's not even it's not the same rate for everyone. It's like it's where you are. Like Kenneth, you're saying that in Rivers they bought it for close to 600. So lots of confusion there about the pricing, about the availability, about the access on one hand, and Ipman of course complaining that they can't find this product anywhere. In an election year, the APC must have some magic, up his sleeves to be able to actually allow people go through this in the last lap of this election, because a lot of people just look at this government and blame it. And talking to people, a lot of people are even ready to just wait it out. They have no idea what solution is going to be there anymore. They are on the queues, they are buying it. But every day, this actually fuels, for the lack of a better word, fuels the anger of the people more and more, because they begin to think that that no one is really having a knack of this. We're not hearing much from the NNPC. The petroleum minister is not talking to us, and then you wake up in the morning and there's been some kind of increment, and now it is the seller's market. Anywhere you find it, you buy at the price you can. Just shows lack of cohesion, lack of leadership, lack of thought out policies on how to handle this. Some people are just waiting for a better day, maybe where there can be better policy, better planning around a sector that is very central to our lives. So yes, nobody seems to. You have all sorts of explanations, and some people are saying it is the cost of lifting, is the cost of production, something that the refinery crisis, and with Dangote refinery coming on board will solve the problem. Others are saying it's the deregulation thing, that if you take out the subsidies, you probably will help the situation. Nobody seems to have a knack, and it's a good time to, Kenneth, for us to ask these presidential candidates what they think they can do about this sector more than any other thing, apart from the problem of insecurity on the other hand.
Speaking of the presidential candidates, they're on their campaign trails now. Next month, we're having the general election. Tinubu from the APC says, if elected, we will eliminate corruption. And when I saw this headline, my first instinct really was to chuckle, because this is a presidential... Exactly. This is a presidential candidate that has been marked with all sorts of corruption accusations, allegations from left, right, and center. And then you have also the presidential candidate from the PDP, Atiku, declaring restructuring, he says, will be one of the pillars of his government. Also, Seyi Makinde boycotted that rally, Emmanuel. So let's talk about these two candidates.
Well, yeah, he boycotted the rally, but Atiku had a good time, in Ibadan. He had that, large turnout, and of course, some people even actually believe that Makinde actually worked for him, whatever that means. But of course, not appearing in person. So those are the sort of things. And with Tribune even saying that the Ibadan rally for Atiku is some kind of pathway around the issue of the G5, because we're beginning to see a serious departure from what the G5 were saying. If you remember in Kechi early in last year, how the grandstanding, the fact that they will not do anything. We thought they were going to even lock up their states against Atiku. But here he is in Ibadan, where Makinde is governor, having one of his best rallies so far. And, Makinde, with even speakers after speakers saying that Makinde played a crucial role in doing that for him. But for Tinubu, yes, it's kind of strange, and I don't know if this headline helps him. The one in this day, I don't know, bold headline that says he's going to fight corruption. I think a lot of people will not really bother reading the story. They'll be more concerned about what you were talking about, the chuckling part of it. Kenneth was saying it sounds like a joke, and we must actually go back, because I took my time to read the story to see how he wants to do it, and he stated clearly that, look, he is not perfect himself. No one is perfect, but when you build better institutions, you'll be able to deal with corruption. Some will say maybe he will know one or two things about corruption, having been accused of all sorts of things himself. But that's also part of the big issue that is going on between Atiku and himself now. The other one saying, look, you are more corrupt than me, and this one saying, look, so it's the back and forth. It makes you remember the song of the fella, I know be thief, you be thief, I know be robber, you be armed robber, arguments. I mean, it brings back that song to life. Both men going at it right now with their aids, throwing everything at the sink and bringing out the corrupt practices. But in the middle of all of that, Tinubu suddenly saying, I will fight corruption. Like you say, some people will wonder how, and he must be very clear about it. How is he going to do it? Is he going to bring better institutions to fight this corruption? Is he going to do better than Buhari, who actually ran on the anti-corruption mantra? But a lot of people saying that more corruption has happened under this government, probably more than any other previous government. They said that, well, there are people who say that, look, Buhari himself probably it can be said to be some kind of transparent person, but under him, a whole lot of things have happened. And that the ICPC, EFCC, for instance, while they were doing their best, it shows how endemic the problem has become. And some people say it's not the fault of the institution, it's just the fact that this problem is really, really deep. Some will even say it's the number one problem beyond the security. So how this presidential candidate are able to answer to this and deal with it will actually form the kernel of their, the administration trust in the future.
And it's up to the voters to decide who will be their president next month. That's the press preview. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello. Let's hear your views on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Rise TV. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag RiseDaily.